Hello, hey friends. I hope that you're okay. Um, Thoughts of today. I didn't want to do a Facebook Live because I wasn't sure. Actually, wasn't sure it would come out. um, I wanted to chat about all the stuff that's happening with the news being banned in Australia. It's a bit crazy. Um, with the news being banned on Facebook in Australia now, I don't know about you, but I'm not a big fan of watching the news anyway. I don't watch. We don't have TV on much, and we kind of like to download and or go on Netflix and stream and actually watch stuff that we like on demand rather than just be spoon fed content. So that's something that I had some thoughts around, and I just wanted to talk like up. Man, we just got really freaking lazy, didn't we? Like humans, people, we just got really lazy um, with the way that we consume information. Um, and I'm saying that because today, well, not today, but over the last couple of days, this um, sort of ban of the news has on Facebook has really highlighted for me like how many people get their information from Facebook because they can't be bothered looking anywhere else. Um, and that would be fine if we didn't already know, and we do already know that Facebook has is biased about what they show you, and because they have people that are paying money to advertise to you, so um, they have an interest, and it might not necessarily be your best interest of what content that you see, and they have in the past um, made what do you call it, behavioral social experiments um, to see what algorithms, how they can manipulate algorithms to control behavior. Like that, there is stuff that's come out, and they've actively done that kind of thing, even if it's on a little harmless level, um, which is subjective. But the amount of people that were freaking out, going, "Oh my god, I cannot even put a link to news. I can't get my news. I can't get my news on Facebook," and it's just like far out. Like, when do we come to the point where we have to come to a social media to be spoon-fed news? And this is what I'm seeing everywhere at the moment. Like, we are so spoon-fed content and information. We allow ourselves to be spoon-fed information so much to the point where we've forgotten how to sort out our own information and content, or it's now just too inconvenient to do that because we don't have time, and we don't ever think about who's given us the information, and what their interests may be, or whether they're aligned with us in terms of interests. And I'm not just talking about news, I'm not talking about politics, I'm talking about like everything with regards to your business, or the information that you know, and what you hold as your truth, and facts, and things like that. Like, we have this system that like is has conditioned us to just be spoon-fed content and accept it and not question it, and just run with whatever, and so many people are stuck, and it's such an overwhelming inconvenience now to actually go and look up something. Like, even me, like, what would I do without Google? Like, if I a couple of years ago, I would Google everything, and just see what comes up, and just take the first, answers, because I was like, well, Google kind of, even with the data collecting and the profiling of me, I'm just like, well, Google kind of knows who I am and what I want. And so they're giving me things that make sense to who I am. So that's good, right? Because they're showing me what they think that I need based on who I am, and because they've tracked me so much, they're not going to give me irrelevant crap. So that's a good thing in the sense of, you always get what you kind of want. But at the same time, it makes you really dependent on this system of being given information and spoon-fed information, to the point where we lose the ability to then go and make up our own mind about things, to research stuff and to find things. And now that there's lots of different opinions on certain, whatever it is, business and medical, we're seeing it everywhere. There's like opposing opinions, opposing truths. Like, now it just depends on what platform you're on. It's going to show you one way or another, and it's very, very biased, and it makes it really hard to sift through information and work out what the other side is thinking. Like when you're looking at a situation, I like to read something and then read it from all sides. I will try and go and look at people that swing towards the left or the right, or the conspiracy theorists, like everywhere. The mums, how they think the Karens, like all these little groups that now weighing in on what's going on in the world, to get a balanced idea of where everybody is at, and probably of the situation, and maybe the closest truth. You actually have to explore from something from all sides, and that's what we got taught. That's what I got taught. That's what I got taught by, that's how I was raised. And then I don't know if it was just that we got fucking lazy, and I think it was. Now the computers just do it for us. And by doing that, we're giving away the responsibility of ourselves to companies, big tech, and governments. We've enabled this situation. Like where it's at right now, where the government's like, look, you guys need to be looked after, and clearly you can't look after yourself, so we're going to have to put in these measures and police you, kind of like children, to sort this out, because you can't be trusted to look after yourself. Basically, it's what, with everything that's happening, that's what I see. But we've enabled that. Like we have shown that we want to be spoon-fed, that we don't want the responsibility of looking after ourselves, that we want someone else to look after us. And now here we are, and with things happening like, okay, well, we're just going to restrict all your information, we're just going to restrict where you can get it, and people are freaking out going, I don't know how to do this myself. And I guess for some people it's going to be a forced sort of awakening from the addiction of Facebook, which is supposed to be a social media where you can talk about things and reach people, and keep it on that level, and then we'll be forced to now go look for your news sources elsewhere from the actual sources, and that might work out better for publications, maybe. but it's really interesting to watch. And I think it just goes to show that again, like the moment that you give up that responsibility to somebody else, you are not in control as much as you think you are. You know, a few years ago, I used to be really lazy, or I just couldn't be bothered downloading a new app, trying a new thing. You know, it was always, this is the mainstream one, this is what I'm going to do, I'm going to go with this. So I just became, because everybody else was on it. Everybody else was on these big social media platforms or text messaging platforms, and so it's like, okay, well, I'm going to jump on that because everyone else is on it. And then slowly, I saw how things changed, and I guess like over the last couple of years more so. Like last year was like if they were boiling the frog, so to speak, they literally just turn up the fire really high, and they had a surge, and then everybody went, that's hot. You know that analogy. But a few years ago, I was one of those people that are like, yeah, I can't be bothered. My husband would be like, hey, download this, like Telegram, for example. Download Telegram because, you know, it's a new app. They're not going to share. They believe in privacy. They believe in free speech. They believe in, you know, they're not going to do anything with your data. They're just going to let you talk to people, reach people. There's no algorithms, so that when you do want to broadcast a message, they're going to make sure everyone who follows you actually goes on it, gets that message. And I was like, but if I do that, then like, if I actually do that, then I'm going to have to download something, and like nobody's on it. And my husband used to say to me, well, but the only way that people are going to be on it is if you go on it, and then you encourage your friends to go on it. And it's better that you be in using different apps and services that are actually going to benefit you, or not going to censor you, or not going to, or it could run into trouble later on. And at this point, it was a couple of years back, I didn't feel any kind of threat of censorship or any of that kind of stuff, you know, and I still don't right now. I don't feel like I'm doing anything controversial, or my content is anything to be shut down or whatever, you know. So I just kind of thought that it was interesting that I was like, no, I'm not going to do that. And then eventually he kind of wore me down, and I downloaded a couple of these apps, the decentralized stuff, the stuff that's more non-algorithmic. They're not really thinking about making profits from you or selling you back your audience, which is kind of what Facebook and Google kind of do. They're a business, right? Can't blame them. And I started actively using, but it took so long to get people off Facebook. Facebook has their hooks in people, like for real, like, you know, let's get people off Messenger, and they're like, oh, I want to buy something off you, and then I'm like, okay, well then can we use a different messaging app, because you can, but if you're going to send your license or your credit card details, let's not do that through Messenger. And they're like, oh, why not? That's what I've been doing, because I don't realize that it's so easily hacked, you know. And I don't know about you, but I've been a victim of credit card theft and identity theft and things like that before, to know that some things need to stay secure. And anyway, what I was saying is that, like, it took me so long to try and convince people to jump onto using better platforms. And now I literally, but it was like I had to stop enabling people as well. And what I mean is that, like, you go, okay, well, everyone's on Facebook, so if I'm going to start a workflow into a project, I'm going to use Facebook to present that project and do it right, regardless of that. At any time, Facebook could just decide that they didn't like me and lock me out, and then I'd lose all of my work. I was like, but because people are so lazy to download apps and to move off, and Facebook has their hook so deep, I'm just going to have to bite the bullet and use their resources. And they're good. Like, I love the way that Facebook group works. Minus the algorithms of showing people nothing. The functionality of it's great, but so I was kind of enabling people by placing my stuff and my content on that. We enable by using whatever it is, and kind of, yes, despite all the faults, still using it until it becomes too difficult, right? And I had to make this change of, okay, like, everyone who works with me, and this is something that I made, I basically made a conscious change, and actively, you make a change about something in the brain, but actually actively doing something about it. Like, every person that now works with me, every client that I have, every music person that comes, every coaching client, music coaching, whatever, all of my programs, even if they start on Facebook as an initial meeting point, everyone will only be able to access the information off Facebook. So it's literally to draw in somebody to Facebook, to then take them off the platform to come and interact with me somewhere else that's not going to have these risks of me being deplatformed or anything, or even just on the algorithmic level. Like, it's really shit that I have a group of, say, 200, 300 followers in a group that are interested in a specific thing that I'm doing, and then I post it, and only 1% of the people that have followed and liked me get to see that. And then Facebook's like, oh, but if you give us some money, we'll show it to more people of your audience that you've cultivated. Like, that's ridiculous. But we've enabled that. We did that by being lazy and by taking the convenience, and not when we were aware of how it worked, by not doing anything about it, by just going, oh, I know, but everybody's just on it. It's so hard. It's just so hard to pull people off of this platform. Pull people away from Facebook, from Instagram, even from all of it, from Twitter. Even when it comes to things like news, as we are seeing. People are like, oh, I can't live without news. Like, all of our emergency broadcast systems are, like, heavily on Facebook. So when you have, like, when there's fires that happen in Perth, instead of going onto the government fire thing, I don't even know what it's called, or the Bureau of Meteorology, the weather people, right? Instead of going there, I'm like, oh, just go look at it on Facebook. Why did I do that? Because it's easy, and because I've been conditioned now to be spoon-fed stuff and have information at my fingertips at ease, right? And now that's gone. I'm like, oh shit, where do I find this stuff? We enabled it. That's our responsibility. And just accepting information and just, traveling the the path of least resistance doesn't always work, especially when the people who are setting that path have a different agenda to yours. That's what I'm seeing. It's bad, needs to stop, and the only way that we can stop it is if we start to take responsibility for our own situations and our lives and our environments, the people that we interact with, the companies that we decide to buy things from. Take responsibility for our health, all of it. Yeah? It's a lot more work, well, it feels like it is, but it means that no one can take the control away from you. It gives you a sense of control over your life, gives you that autonomy that then gives you more freedom. So you get to make your own decisions. That's a beautiful thing. Like the ability, we all have the ability to make decisions. Some people make shit decisions, but you get better at it. And taking away people's decision-making process is literally taking away their freedoms. And we have allowed that to happen. We've given it away almost out of convenience. And I don't really want to deal with that. I want someone else to deal with that. And this need to be looked after because we don't feel like looking after ourselves. It's really lazy. So, I don't know. We should be thinking about self-reliance and self-responsibility. And yeah, if you're addicted and you're hooked into these big tech platforms, and take a step back, take this moment as a time to disconnect and start sourcing your own shit. Go back to websites. Go back to look at something. Go back to talking to the person without the middleman. Yeah? It's going to make the world better. And it's going to stop monopolies from happening when we do that. And that's good for everyone. Alright, well that's my hanging for a chat episode. I am going to come back and see you here really soon. If you want to keep up with my posts, don't forget to subscribe and follow me or whatever. Get Telegram, join me there too.